US and Iran edge closer to war as military forces gather in the Middle East. Tensions between United States and Iran have escalated dramatically in recent weeks, raising global concerns that the long-running geopolitical rivalry between the two nations could soon erupt into a major military conflict. Massive deployments of troops, warships, and advanced aircraft across the Middle East have intensified fears that the region may be approaching the brink of war. Analysts warn that the current military buildup is one of the largest seen in the region in decades, with both sides signaling readiness for confrontation even as diplomatic channels remain open. A massive military buildup. Over the past several weeks, the United States has significantly increased its military presence across the Middle East. Satellite imagery and defense analysis indicate that more than 150 U.S. aircraft, including stealth fighters, cargo planes, and refueling tankers, have been repositioned to bases in Europe and the Middle East. The Pentagon has also deployed multiple carrier strike groups to the region, including the aircraft carriers USS Abraham Lincoln and USS Gerald R. Ford, each capable of launching dozens of combat aircraft in sustained operations. These carriers are accompanied by missile destroyers, submarines, and logistical support vessels, forming a formidable naval armada capable of launching precision strikes deep inside Iranian territory. Military experts say the scale of the deployment suggests preparations not merely for deterrence but for the possibility of a sustained air campaign if diplomatic efforts fail. Strategic importance of the Middle East. The military buildup has focused on key strategic locations across the Middle East, including the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, and several U.S. air bases in neighboring countries. These areas are vital to global energy supplies. Nearly one-third of the world's seaborne oil passes through the Strait of Hormuz, making any conflict in the region potentially catastrophic for global markets and economic stability. Iran has long warned that it could disrupt shipping through the strait if attacked, a move that would likely trigger immediate international intervention and send oil prices soaring worldwide. Nuclear dispute at the center of the crisis. At the heart of the escalating tensions lies the dispute over Iran's nuclear program. Washington has repeatedly accused Tehran of pursuing nuclear weapons capabilities, while Iranian leaders insist their nuclear program is intended solely for civilian energy and research purposes. Negotiations aimed at reviving diplomatic agreements on Iran's nuclear activities have continued intermittently, with another round of talks scheduled in Geneva. However, progress has been limited and mutual distrust remains high. Iranian officials have stated that while they remain open to negotiations, any military attack by the United States would be treated as an act of aggression and would provoke a strong response. Diplomatic moves and evacuations. Adding to the atmosphere of crisis, the U.S. government has begun withdrawing non-essential diplomatic staff from certain embassies in the region, including its embassy in Beirut. Officials say the move is intended to protect American personnel in case regional hostilities escalate. Intelligence agencies fear that Iranian-aligned groups could target U.S. diplomatic or military facilities in response to any potential strike. The precautionary evacuation signals that Washington views the threat environment as increasingly dangerous. Iran strengthens its military position. Iran has not remained passive amid the growing U.S. military presence. The country has conducted large-scale military exercises and has been working to strengthen its naval capabilities. Reports indicate that Tehran is negotiating to acquire advanced anti-ship cruise missiles from China, weapons that could pose a serious threat to U.S. naval forces operating in the Persian Gulf. If the deal is finalized, the missiles would significantly enhance Iran's ability to challenge American naval dominance in the region. Regional alliances and proxy forces. A potential war between the United States and Iran would likely extend beyond the two nations themselves. Iran maintains influence over several allied groups across the Middle East, including powerful militias and armed movements operating in countries such as Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon. One of the most prominent of these groups is Hezbollah, which is widely considered Iran's most capable regional ally. Military analysts warn that any conflict could quickly spread across multiple fronts, potentially drawing in Israel and other regional actors, turning a bilateral confrontation into a much broader regional war. Economic and global implications. The stakes of a U.S.-Iran conflict extend far beyond the Middle East. A full-scale war could disrupt global oil supplies, destabilize international financial markets, and trigger humanitarian crises across several countries. Energy markets have already shown signs of volatility as investors react to the growing risk of war. The Middle East remains a critical hub for global oil production, and even limited disruptions could have worldwide consequences. War or diplomacy. Despite the escalating military preparations, diplomats from both countries have emphasized that negotiations remain possible. However, the combination of military mobilization, political rhetoric, and strategic maneuvering has created one of the most dangerous geopolitical situations in recent years. Whether the crisis leads to renewed diplomacy or erupts into open conflict may depend on the coming weeks. As warships gather and fighter jets move into position, the world watches closely, hoping that the growing standoff between the United States and Iran can still be resolved without war.